Okay, you're live.
Okay, so
Just wait for some people to join in.
we're live.
Yep.
How we doing, everybody? Anybody coming in here?
Yep.
Good, good. So I have to be on my own. Gerard is LA in his house, and I'm here in my garage. But I do have a version of Gerard, and that's my daughter Abby, who's on the back of the camera there. So thank you, Abby, for she's been looking after all the lives for Sebastian for the last nearly 3 months. So
Already got 100 people, 110 people.
Okay, so let me introduce myself first, because Gerard would normally do that. So I'm Shay Dempsey, Global Art Director for Sebastian Professional. Any questions? You've got Abby Dempsey, my daughter, who's an amazing makeup artist. She's on the other end of the camera. So please keep this nice and light. We're going through some crazy times at the moment. So I'm here to really just sort of give you some techniques. If there's any questions you'd like to know about the techniques, it's not necessarily all about the haircuts, but it's more about the methodology of Sebastian, the education that we share, how we use the actual tools in the Sebastian way. So if you just look at this little haircut first, it's very, very simple. It's being, the execution was the blade, and what it does is the blade can give you areas to transform the hair. It takes weight away and it takes away length away at the same time. So I'm going to do a variation of this little haircut that I did this morning for you. And you can see it's very, very simple. You can see when you start to use your hands, it starts to manipulate and you start to bring in the texture and move the hair. So it has that sort of nice sort of weightless feel to it. But yet there is a sort of separation as well. I'm just pushing the fringe and moving the hair around. So it's fun, you know, and it's super light, it's nice, it's organic in its shape, but it's sort of cute with that sort of asymmetric fringe in that. Okay, so as I said, any questions, you just shout. So, let's bring you on to our next doll head. And to try and achieve what we did on the other doll head, the technique that was used was the feather blade. So I am a big advocate of the feather blade and always have been. And I always, before I start, I like to talk to people about how I use the blade. A lot of the time, I'm just going to take a section of hair, a lot of the time I see when you start to use the blade in the wrong way, if the angle is wrong here, it will tear the actual shaft of the hair follicle and you'll actually get a damaged hair. But if I go in here and I lay that blade nice and flat and I start to cut the hair away, you get a much more of a cut effect instead of it being something that's torn. So again, it's something that I really like to use, is that I have a very clean palette. I always use the fine end of the comb and I don't take in too much hair. I try and keep the hair as smooth as possible so that I can actually see where I'm going to cut. So when the blade goes on, the pressure sits onto the head and you can actually cut the hair. So you can see there, if you pan in there, Abby, you can actually see that the hair is cut. So you don't get any of this effect. You get much more of this effect. Okay? So that's just something I just wanted to share with you if you're going to try and work with the blade, is that to always use a fresh blade. Always. Work on damp hair, okay? Working on dry hair, you'll have a different effect. To enjoy the process, work on damp hair so that you can really work with this sort of the feeling. Get used to the feeling. I've said this many times. The wrong tool in the wrong hands is a problem. You know, and that can be the scissor in the wrong hands. That can be blending shears in the wrong hands. But by using a blade, it takes time to master it. So I don't want you to get nervous, I don't want you to get scared. This is what we teach with Sebastian, is that when you use so many combinations with the scissor and the blade, the blending shears, you only use the blade on the right texture of hair. These are all things that you will learn. You don't use it on curly hair, you don't use it on bad textured hair, you don't use it on compromised hair. So before I started the haircut, I really wanted to emphasize that this is something that you will love when you start to really get to use it and know it. I see Gerard uses it a lot of the time, but he also uses a scissor. I do the same in the salon. Okay, so I'm going to shut up and I'm going to start to actually cut some hair. Okay, so the next thing that if you're going to use the blade, always prepare the hair. So whether that's something like a leave-in conditioner or an oil, I've actually used some Sebastian Dark oil into the hair. And really what that does is it creates a really nice smooth surface, and with the argan oil, it also protects the hair as you go along. So you can see my sectioning pattern, it's just above the parietal bone, sectioned away, and then if you come around here, Abby, you'll see the fringe is separated too. So you just have 1, 2, 3 sections, and we're going to work right to the middle of the ear, all right? So this is called vertical skimming. And what I want to do, just like this picture here, is the weight that's on the middle here, if we look at the baseline, is here. And then you have the length. I want to work from shorter to the length, okay? So by doing that, and probably you're going to see this at this angle here is much easier for you, Abby. So by taking that section and pulling it directly to the middle of my chest, so my body is standing strong, the blade never leaves the hair. So we go from shorter to longer. So we move out to that point of the length, and I'm just going to keep the blade moving. And watch my wrist. My wrist is broken, and it works nice and smooth, and it works down to that length. Okay? Now, you often find as well that a lot of the time people think that using the blade, you don't actually follow a guide. But watch, if I take this section, and again, everything comes directly out off the head, okay? So it's coming directly out off the head. I just take from here, I can rest that guide right on the top, right there. There it is. Now watch my wrist, and then we just break. When you have a stiff wrist, if the wrist is so stiff, sometimes you'll do a more choppier effect. Now that's okay if you want to have a more choppy effect, but I want to have a little bit more of a seamless effect. So I want to just really just glide that blade right down through the hair. And as I move, I just move the doll head instead of getting in Abby's way with the camera. So you can actually start to really move now quite quickly. So now I've got my guide again, I can lay it over, and now I can really start to move through the hair. So you can have that really nice connection of movement, reducing the weight and reducing the length. So you're doing two things at once. You're reducing the weight where you need it, so I want to have a much flatter effect instead of a round effect, but I also want to keep some of the length. So by taking those sections directly out, my body position stays nice and square, and I just really go through the hair nice and smooth. Boom. Work down. Follow my guide. You can see the guide. And straight down. Okay? And I'm just really working on reducing that weight first. Have we any questions, Abby? Are we all good? Everything okay?
People are just giving lots of compliments. Love how you glide.
Oh,
Hi
that's
from
good.
London. Looks great. Love the technique. We've got 500 people, 510 people watching.
Amazing. Well, you know, that's great. And I have to say, if you like that movement and you like that action, it takes a little bit of time to get there, okay? But honestly, if you just, and I'm going to just go through this again, look how small the section is and how fine the section is, okay? And you still have your guide, but I always use the fine end of the comb because that is what keeps control. And like anything, with a scissor or a blade, if you have control, everything is seamless. If you have too much hair in a scissor, or if you have too much hair in your hand, you don't have control. And the scissor is going to be challenged. Whereas if you just have the right amount of hair, you can really feel and work through the head so quick. Like, it's amazing how quick we can get through this, you know? So for the salon, this type of haircut can be made longer, shorter, whatever way you want. It's just, you can, when you master this, you can make it as long or as short as you want, okay?
There is a question, if
Okay.
you don't mind.
Yeah.
Is this just straight out and bringing the sides to the corner, question mark?
Yeah, so basically, what I'm trying to do is, the last section I'll probably pull that back into the previous section. But really everything is coming out here. So if you can see where I am, Abby, you can see this. If you pull out a little bit, you'll basically see that when I stand here, everything is now pulled directly to the middle of my chest. So I'm standing right here. So my body position just moves and moves around the head. So then when I come through, I'm really comfortable to just cut through. And this is my final section here. I can just pull back into that previous section, which is right there. So I can just see it and then just, okay? So let me just move the head, down head a little. So you get a little bit more of this. Now, these little bits afterwards, we will just go through that. But you can see if I just check through the hair and I just comb through that hair, there's no weight lines, there's no wedges, there's no steps. It's a little bit more of a seamless sort of fit. So it's a little bit more of a head hugging shape.
We're having a few people saying the music's a little bit loud, so I'm just
Okay.
going to turn that
Of
up
course.
down.
So here, I'll turn it down for you.
Yeah, thanks. So you know, Dad, there's 760 people watching right now.
Okay, amazing. So as you can see, guys, after doing this, you can actually see that it's much more of a head hugging shape. And that's just using the blade. So let me just start now on this side. And I can stay here. It's just for camera reasons, for Abby. So I can go again, small sections. There's my guide. Bring it in. And now I can just start to gently go through the hair. Next section. Pull up, find that guide, and start to move. So now you can actually see that things are starting to move a little bit quicker. So it's almost like I was working in a salon situation now. I can actually start to go in and really start to move through that shape. But as I said, the blade can be your best friend if you really know how to master it. And it does take a little bit of time. Like anything, the scissor takes time to actually master the scissor as well. So directly out to the middle of my chest again. There's my guide, elevation, straight out.
Someone says, love how lived in it looks. Amazing for wash and go.
Absolutely. You know, it's a very, very organic shape. But what I wanted to try and do for you guys was also to show you that if you were to blow dry it, how edgy it can become. Because the last thing we need is for you to be looking at me blow drying hair. It's so boring. So that's why I did the straight. And now, as you say, this is going to be a lot more lived in. It's much more of an organic feel. So something like this is like, yeah, it's a sort of a more wash and go. So just really moving, the blade never leaves the hair. You just move along down that hair. Nice small sections, full of control. Everything is just, you can see exactly where you're going. Nice and soft. And don't worry about any of this because that will all be a different technique when we come to the end. This is all about reducing the weight of where we want it. And we're really, you know, if you think about it, we're over the parietal bone. So we're really having something that's a lot more square.
Kathy Nelson says, love from Nova Scotia, Canada. Wish I was sitting in your chair right now.
Oh, thank you so much, Kathy. I hope you're safe and well.
I thought that was a nice comment.
Yes, thank you. So I use the feather blade. Lots of people use open blades. The reason I use the feather blade is because there's about 10 techniques in Sebastian's cutting methodology. And some of them can get very, very close to the head where we use different techniques where we pinch and cut and we do different techniques. So I'm always a little scared that I'll cut my hand. The blade is the same, but for me, I prefer to use the feather blade, which I have to say thank you to Hairbrain when I was stuck for some refills of blades. They kindly sent me 2 packs, and let me tell you, you've been, you don't know how helpful that was. So if anybody needs blades or feather blades, go on to hairbrainpro.com, buy them right there.
Would you like another comment?
Yes, please.
This person, Mandy, asked, and I feel like I ask you this every single time you use the blade, because this is like the most common question. Would you use the same technique on curly hair?
No, Mandy, it's a great question. I mean, to be honest, I use the blade on the hair that's in the chair at the time. So, Mandy, isn't it?
Yeah.
To be honest, Mandy, I use the scissor in combination with the blade. But if I've got a really, really nice head of hair, that really allows me to use the blade in the right way, I will take the blade out. But I won't use it on curly hair. I won't use it on a very frizzy, compromised hair. I will use it on wavy hair. But really, I really suit the blade to the actual person that's in the chair, or the model, or if I'm teaching, I always talk about this. I always talk about that. Remember, the blade, it does two things. But in another way, you have to be aware that what you're doing. So by using the blade in the right way, and if you can zoom in here, Abby, I'm just going to show Mandy. Just have a look at this, Mandy. Just have a little look. Now, if I put that up against my shirt, can you see that, Mandy? It still looks cut, okay? So by using the blade in that direction, it actually cuts the hair in the right way, okay? So let me just take away some of the length at the back, right here, okay? And this is just called pinch and cut. So just basically you take some pieces, zero elevation, and you can use the heel and just nip. You can use the toe, just nip. Take the next section, use the heel, leave a little gap, take some here, and use the toe, okay? Now that just gives you a nice organic perimeter because you've done everything that's nice and organic through here, so you don't want to go in there and go too hard with those lines. You want to keep everything soft, okay? So you can see we're just creating this really nice soft movement.
Mandy says thank you.
No, you're welcome. So heel again, just gently through, and then tip.
Can you also work this method with long hair?
Absolutely, absolutely. So it would just depend on if you were going to layer the hair, you know, how much you wanted to take away. So if, let me just say, so we came here, so if the hair was long, you would come out here, and the elevation would come out off the head. So if I was here, I would then start to work shorter to longer. And you could take everything up into the middle, and then you could work this way. So your length is here, and you're going to take the top layer away. It's probably driving you crazy with the camera.
No, it's okay.
Okay, so let me just take off the doll head for a sec, and let me just give it a little shake. So as you can see, it's a very, very soft, little organic, lived-in shape. And you can go as long or as short as you want with this. But it's really quick, it's pretty seamless. And I liked what that person said, it's a sort of a wash and go look. But as I said, you can make it really edgy and go this way as well if you want. You know, this blow dried can make it look really, really edgy. So, now that I have the sides and the back cut, I'm going to go in and I'm going to do the fringe. I want to leave this last section on the top to the very end so we can blend it in. But by cutting the fringe, I'll have a point of reference from here and I'll have a point of reference from here. So I can actually cut that top section. So again, we're looking for shape, we're looking for balance, we're following lines. It's not just, you know, freehand. You can, but if you want to create something for a client in the salon that will wear and, you know, last 6 to 8 weeks, I think this way you're keeping the balance, okay? So, let me just isolate this fringe because it's quite big. Now, like the doll head beside us, I'm not going to go as short as that actual look. I'm going to give you a slightly longer version. And also with these doll heads, you can imagine they're not stitched the best. They jump and they bounce and things like that. So I'm just going to dampen the hair down. I have my dark oil in there, so I'm just going to just dampen the hair down. I don't want to overdo it with the dark oil. And what I'm going to do is, I always like to start right here in the middle. And again, this is a skimming technique, but it's just small sections. And what I'm going to do is, we call it like pinch and cut. So if you take that section and it's again, I'm going to go quite long. You can take the section and just really remember to keep that really smooth, almost like a fabric. See how flat that is there. And now you can actually go in and you can use the heel and you can skim it away. And it gives you this nice little choppy feel. So you're taking the weight away. And now I can take the next section beside that and I'm going to oval it around a little bit. Again, I'm going to keep it nice and flat. I'm in control. Zero elevation, okay? Zero elevation. Keep it nice and flat. Next, I've got the toe. And now I'm just going to go this way. So I'm putting more pressure right there on the toe. So you can see the weight's coming away and then the length is staying. So you see? How's the camera work? You're very good with that camera. I have to say.
Thanks. Yeah, I give myself a 10 out of 10.
Ooh, you go, Abby. So again, I'm just bringing it shorter to longer. So I'm using the toe and I'm moving it around. Any little bits, just pinch and cut those away.
Wow, we've got over 1,000 people watching.
That's amazing. That's fantastic. So as I said, this is something, guys, that if you wanted to do this at home and you didn't really know too much about the blade, I would encourage you to use the blade like this. You know, really encourage you to use the blade. Okay? I'm going to come to this side. I'm just going to get some water. And take that section and exactly like you did on the other side, keep everything really clean. Look at the surface area. Just make sure that that surface area is really clean. You're in control. Now, turn the blade opposite and you can see, watch. Put it on my shirt, you can see no bad pieces or no scraping the surface. Next side, put it over. Boom. Okay, so I've got a few little pieces here that I just need to clean up. And we can just go through. Next section. So we're going to drop this down. As I said, in comparison to this girl here, what we're doing is we're giving you a longer version in the fringe. So I'm just going to comb this down. Keep those sections nice and clean. And I'm going to pop to this side. So let me just straighten her up. Keep it clean. Okay. Comb the hair. Again, let's just go in here. Nice. Keep it nice and long. So I'm taking the weight from around the eyebrow to the perimeter. So what that's doing is it's also softening the line. So it's going to blend the hair in a little bit more. So when you see it from the profile, you're going to have a little bit more of a melt instead of it being bang. It's not going to be so strong. It's going to have a softer, rounder feel. And that's the great thing about the blade. It does so many things. So again, I'm just going to go through and I'm going to start to skim, soften it out, soften.
Would you like another question? Because there's one really interesting one that just came in.
Yes.
From Sherry Teeter.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first time you cut a person's hair? Tell us about that.
Yes, I do. Sherry, my mum and dad got me a job in a barber shop in Dublin. I'm Irish, I'm from Dublin. And they sent me to this guy, Peter was his name, and he called everybody Pete. So every hairdresser, or every client, they were just called Pete. Hey Pete, come on in, Pete, come on in. And I worked there for like 2-3 months. And he taught me barbering to start off. And basically he said to me, oh, I could cut, some of the older guys' hair and stuff like that. And I will never forget how nervous I was. I had a clipper, I had a 7-inch blade and scissor in my hand, and it was absolutely so daunting. And
How old were
as
you?
you can expect, about 15 and a half.
Wow.
Left school at just 15 years of age. And it was on a Sunday morning. And I think the man was extremely hungover, but his hair was in an awful way. Like, I mean, it was horrific. That's all I can say. So Abby, can we just come in here and just go around the front here? So you can see with that fringe being a little bit longer, it just gives it this little urchin-y feel. It's really soft and it's really cute. So you can actually move the hair around. I love what that girl said earlier on. It's
Wash and go.
a little bit more wash and go. And I'm liking the fact that it's sort of, you know, it's kicking out and we've taken that weight in it. So I can just sort of detail it and go in and just sort of go through it a little bit more. Maybe if we need to take some more weight out of there. And this is something that, you know, it becomes now very visual. You've put in that shape and there's only one more section left to cut. So like now it becomes visual where you can put your stamp on it by sort of reducing weight, reducing length, finding how it sits. I'm liking the fact that it's just splitting a little bit here in her face. I love the fact that it's sort of kicking out, so you could put in some leave-in conditioner in there and you could actually detail the hair a little bit more and you could actually start to find that real cool. Let me just turn it around before we do this top section. So you're starting to see this real cute little urchin shape, you know. Sort of cute.
Super cute.
Yeah. Okay, so let me take up the last final section. How long are we doing on time? Are we doing good?
I can't see the time on
okay.
here actually.
So let me turn this way. Because I've got a black shirt on, so hopefully you'll be able to see everything. So this is the final section. So I'm just going to take everything vertically up, like so. And I should have a guide from here, and I should have a guide from here. And what I want to try and do is connect this guide from the fringe to that guide there. So I'm going to work at that type of an angle because we still want to leave length, and we're going to pull everything directly up into the previous section. Okay? So all I need to do is to just find some of the hair from the fringe and some of the hair from the back.
Mandy from earlier said,
Yes.
I love this hairstyle. Does it have a name? I would name it the tomboy.
Yeah, it is a little tomboyish, you're right. Yeah, it certainly has a little bit of that, or it's got a little bit of an older feel, like a 70s feel, or a, I don't know, like a Mia Farrow, or, but definitely tomboy.
Here, I'll take your water.
Yeah. So I'm going to go from shorter to longer, and I'm just going to get rid of some of this hair first, okay? Let me just get rid of some of this hair. Okay. Because if it's too long, you're out of control. I hate not being in control of the hair, so I just like to lose some of this hair, and then we'll start to cut. So I would do this even in the salon as well if I'm cutting the hair, is that I want to just try and find how controlled I am. Okay, so let's go. So here's my guide, and I just go in with my thumb, and I start to just literally take little bits away.
Wow, that's kind of dangerous or something. It looks like you're going to cut your thumb.
Yeah, well it doesn't because it's got a guard on it.
Yeah, yeah.
So the thing is with it, I'll take some more water. The thing is with it, it's this is why I don't use an open blade. So I'm not over directing everything, okay? I'm just finding my guide, which is right here. I'm going to take away that heavy length.
Do you ever use a cut through? That's what an open blade is, right? Is a cut through?
Yes.
Do you ever use one?
No, I don't, because I'm too scared. But I see Gerard use it, and you know, he's a master of it. So I'm sure it's like anything, you just get used to it. So this is just another technique that Sebastian have, and it's great because you can actually go in, and it's like our version of point cutting. So you just use the toe of the blade, and you use your thumb with the pressure, and you get this nice, really choppy textured feel. And again, I don't use this on dry hair. I only ever use this on damp hair, and I like to go in, and if I can show you after, you get much more of a nice filtered choppy look. Next section. I'm pulling that up a little.
Sherry, the same woman who asked you about your first haircut, said it's like peeling an apple, the way you're holding the...
Yeah, and it's called peeling.
There you go.
So Sherry, you nailed it. Some people call it splicing and some people call it peeling, but it's exactly what you just said. So let me just take this section, working shorter to longer. Here's the guide. And just check everything through. Over directing just this last section here because I still want to blend it with the fringe that we've created, that longer fringe. So I am over directing this back into the last, say, previous section. So it's just so as we can maintain that nice length. Okay. Turn around. Some water. And this is the last section. So the same thing. Just let me turn this way, you'll see it better. Last section. Go straight in, take away some of this length, just so as I can find my guide. This is just rough cut.
Okay, Sherry has a question.
Yes?
What if you had crowns and 2 cowlicks at the front? How would you cut it then?
Well, I think you just have to adjust, Kerry, because...
Sherry.
Or sorry, Sherry. You would have to adjust because obviously if the crown or the hairline is moving or it swivels in a certain way, you're going to have to maintain more length. But really, you can even have a disconnection as well, Sherry. And then what you would do is you would blend it in. So you could leave it quite long, and I'll just show you now in a sec. You could leave it quite long here. And what you could do is, like through this area here, you could go in and you could actually skim it away. So you would actually skim this instead of peeling. You would take that section down and you would skim it into shape instead of actually just having to peel it the whole way. So you could leave more length here so you could fit it in more into the shape. Yeah? Because yeah, sometimes you get a lot of swirls and things like that, and yeah, it can be a little crazy. Let me get the head as it would be in the salon. So now a client would be like, here, let's check it. So it's not too bad. I mean, just checking everything through. Last sections here on the sides.
Where can I buy the same razor you are using, Shea Dempsey? I love it.
Okay, so where you can buy the razor Shea Dempsey is using is from Hairbrain Pro. And I don't know whether that's hairbrainpro.com or official or, but I'm sure the guys, if they're listening, if Gerard is on, he'd be able to tell you, or Courtney is on.
DM them, maybe.
Yes, exactly. They have them in the store. So let me turn her around a little.
Someone asked, is it stationary? I don't know what that means, but...
Is it stationary? The blade actually, you just basically can take out the blades like so. Take them out. And then in here, connect your new blade, fresh blade, straight away. So the thing is, you will go through blades, because I like to use a fresh blade on every haircut. So now I'm just going in and I'm just really detailing it a little. So I'm just using the pen cutting technique here, where I just go through and I just filter a little, just so we can flatten out that shape at the sides. Always on the rounding of the head, when you leave a little bit of length, sometimes it's nice just to flatten it in just a little bit, so it's a little flatter here. It gives it a little bit more of that tomboy effect, as one of the viewers was saying. Same here, it's just a little heavy, so I'm just going to use pen cutting technique just to go in there, and it just reduces a little bit of that weight for me, just through here. It's ideal for diffusing hair. You know, if you just want to take out some little pieces, it's perfect for that. You just to be able to sort of take them out. Okay. So let me just try and get this little shape going. Now I still feel I'm a little long and I'm a little disconnected in the back.
Dad,
how does that look?
It looks fabulous, but we have like the most amazing comment. Can I read it out?
Yes.
So it's from Eileen McGurr Patel.
Yeah.
She's Irish. She says, Shay, your work is incredible and you are so humble. Your daughter is so lovely. Love you both. I live in LA, but from Donegal. As a hairdresser, I'd love this cut on myself even. Thank you, Shay and family. May God bless you and family, and hope you are safe.
Wow. So that's Eileen.
That's Eileen.
So Eileen, I have replied to you and DM'd you on Instagram. I think you live in Calabasas, if I'm right, and it's so nice to meet you. And when the salon opens, I'd love you to come down. We have a coffee and say hi. And thank you so much for those compliments.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I feel I'm a little disconnected from here. If you look here, and then I just feel it's a little disconnected. So I'm just going to tilt the head just like I would in the salon. And again, I'm just going to go in and I'm just going to pinch and cut. And just give it a little more. I hate to have something, yes, if you want to make sure that it's deliberate, that maybe it could be a mullet or it could be something that's disconnected. But I really do sort of try and push for balance in all shapes. So like, again, this is one of our mantras in Sebastian, that, you know, it's all about visuals. It's all about what you see. It's all about sort of shape and balance. And if something is a little too long or it's a little off, it really can upset your eye. Your eye is drawn to the, now that can be a good thing if it's offset, then your eye can be drawn to a line, or it can be drawn to something that sort of shows that disconnection off. But with something like this, I don't want it to be disconnected. So just before I finish up, I just wanted to take just a little bit more of the length in the back, and okay, so let me get you over here and get the two girls here. And you'll see the difference in the length on the fringe. And I'm just going to straighten this girl up. Let me get her right. And I'm just going to get a little bit of product. And I'm just going to use a little bit of dark oil. And I'm just going to put the dark oil in so that if it was something that she was going to just let it dry naturally, we want to just keep it nice and beachy and soft. And she can actually let this, oh, I put it on her face as well, so she's now got argan oil on her face. Let me just kick that out.
Moisturizing her skin.
Moisturizing her skin. Okay. My comb. Bring that in there, flatten it around. And she has these little pieces through the back as well. So you've got that nice little bit of texture through there as well. And this little girl, put a little bit of dark oil. So this would be your blow-dried version. If you wanted to go for something that's just a little bit more edgy with the shorter fringe, you can take that up there, make it a little wiggy looking, push it out.
Sherry, who is leaving the lovely comment, says, "You're a wizard with magical hands. Thank you so much for answering my questions. I would love you to cut my hair. It's been wild since the virus." DM Sunset Plaza Salon.
Absolutely, you know, no problem. You come in and I'd love to look after you, Sherry. Okay, so, see, can we do this?
Oh, Shay's ladies.
Blow-dried version, organic version. So I'm going to leave you on that, guys. So as I said, if you want to play around using the blade, as I said, always remember that angle of the blade. The flatter it is to the hair, the better you're going to have, like, as a successful start. Never do it on dry hair. Always do it on damp hair. And then the pen cutting technique, the pinch and cut for around the fringes to keep them nice and soft. And once you start to use the product and you use the blading techniques, honestly, you'll keep it. So thank you so much for that hour of time. Thank you to Hairbrained. Thank you to Sebastian Professional. Stay safe and well. It's great to see salons reopening again, which is amazing. And I will probably see you in a few weeks. So thank you so much, Abby, and thank you, everybody.